It began in London. 5 men, once university friends, gathered in a pub to discuss their next trip, a reunion long overdue. Among them were Luke, Rob, Dom, Hutch, and Phil. Different in temperament, but bound by years of memories, they were closer than brothers. Rob, the dreamer among them, suggested a hiking trip through Sweden's northern wilderness. Luke agreed, but the others hesitated. The night grew cold, and Luke dragged Rob into a liquor store for one last purchase. They never made it out together. 2 junkies stormed the store. Luke, frozen in fear, ducked behind the aisles. Rob, caught in the open, tried to reason. A bottle shattered, and then the sound of death. Luke stood still, silent, as his friend was murdered not 10 feet away. It haunted him every day since. 6 months passed. To honor Rob, the surviving 4 embarked on that very trip through the Kungsleden Trail in Sweden. Silent tension simmered beneath every step. Luke felt their eyes when they thought he wasn't looking. The judgment, unspoken. The journey was meant to be healing. But the weather turned cold, the hills grew steep, and Dom twisted his knee descending a slope. Hutch suggested a shortcut through the forest, a dense, unmarked patch on the map. They agreed. The forest greeted them with quiet unease. The wind didn't blow. Birds didn't sing. Trees loomed like sentinels. As they hiked deeper, strange symbols appeared carved into bark, and they stumbled upon a gutted deer, hanging from a branch, still dripping. That night, it rained hard. They found shelter in an abandoned cabin, empty but for a strange effigy in the attic, a crude humanoid form of twigs and antlers, headless, arms raised to the ceiling. They laughed nervously, tried not to look at it, and fell into troubled sleep. Luke dreamed of Rob, but instead of the liquor store, the dream took place in the forest. Thunder cracked. Luke awoke outside the cabin, barefoot and bleeding. His shirt clung to a strange mark on his chest, a rune burned into flesh. Phil had wet himself. Dom screamed of nightmares. Hutch said nothing, but his eyes were shaken. No one slept again. They pressed onward, shaken and weary. Every few yards, Luke felt watched. Shadows between the trees moved too fast. Something was out there. They argued, panic rising. By nightfall, Hutch vanished. His body was found the next morning, impaled high in a tree, gutted and displayed like the deer. The others broke. Phil sobbed. Dom prayed. Luke stared in silence, numb with guilt and fear. Then Phil was taken. It didn't make noise when it moved. The forest seemed to swallow him whole. Luke and Dom fled blindly into the trees that stretched in all directions like bars on a cage. The map was useless. Time unraveled. They stumbled into a clearing and were captured. The captors were not beasts, but people, a tribe of worshippers, sunken-eyed and strange, speaking no English. Luke and Dom were thrown into a dark barn. In the dim light, Luke saw the same runes carved into every beam, the same mark on his chest. Later, an old woman entered and spoke a little English. She said they worshipped a god, not a man-made deity, but something real, something ancient, a child of Loki, born before man, hidden in the forest. This being, a Jotun, offered eternal life to its followers. If they submitted, those who refused became sacrifices. The mark on Luke meant he had been chosen. He could join them. Dom would not be so lucky. That night they took Dom to the woods. As he cried out, the thing emerged, part elk, part man, impossibly tall, with eyes like fire and antlers like jagged branches. It wore the dead like clothing. To Dom, it appeared as his wife. luring him with a cruel imitation of comfort, before impaling him on its limbs. Luke screamed but could not stop it. Luke awoke alone. The cult planned to keep him, make him kneel and worship. But Luke finally had nothing left to fear. He broke free, stole an axe, and fought his way through the village. In the main lodge he found their secret. The immortals, dozens of husks, still breathing, still worshipping, trapped in their own rotted bodies. He set the place ablaze. The cult burned, and the creature came for him. It did not speak, but it communicated, through visions, whispers in Luke's head. Rob's face appeared again, pleading, the store, the forest, his fear. The Jotun tried to make him kneel. Luke refused. He struck it with the axe. It bled like a beast. It roared, knocking him down, but he got back up again and again, until the forest thinned. The Jotun gave chase, but at the edge of the woods it stopped. It could not leave the forest. It roared in frustration as Luke stepped into the dawn. The sun rose on the open field. Luke stood tall, alone, but free. The creature remained in the woods where its worshippers had once thrived, but one man had walked in and come out, not because he was the strongest, but because he had faced what the others couldn't. Not the monster outside, but the one within.